In the second video, in the Llanidloes Borough series, I described how 4 councillors, Jamie Jones, Margot Jones, John Hughes and Gareth Morgan, had appointed themselves to the finance panel, then the staffing panel. And by the way, if you don't like what's going on at Severn Port, they're the ones responsible for it. You'd think after the first 2 videos they might mend their ways, but that hasn't happened. They've just carried on in the same arrogant and disgraceful way as before, and we can see this from the minutes of the last finance panel on the 13th of November. Those listed as present were Jamie Jones, Margot Jones, John Hughes and Gareth Morgan, just the 4 of them. To remind you, the full council should elect 7 members of the town council to serve on the finance panel, and at least 5 members of the panel should be present at any meeting of the panel. If 5 members aren't present, then the meeting should be adjourned. Well, nothing has changed, and these 4 have continued to act as members of the finance panel, and have made several recommendations to the full council, with the town council being expected to act on the recommendations. The problem is that these recommendations aren't valid because the panel isn't properly constituted. I'm rather surprised the town clerk, David Powell, has allowed this to go ahead, as the clerk has some responsibility for ensuring proper practice is followed. But it doesn't matter, it will all come out in the wash. I'm not going to be voting on any of the recommendations, as no vote can be taken on matters that have not gone through a proper process. The only thing I can legally do is point out proper procedures have not been followed and ignore all the recommendations. Another mildly entertaining matter on the agenda for the next town council meeting is the adoption of a social media policy. There exists some guidance on how councillors can use social media, but the guidance is just that, guidance. What councillors can and can't do is laid out in law and in the Code of Conduct. The town council's proposed social media policy goes beyond guidance and tries to limit what councillors can say. It tries to limit freedom of speech, the ability of councillors to draw attention to malpractice by other councillors. It states that councillors cannot discuss other councillors without their prior approval, or post material that could embarrass the council or councillors. This means I wouldn't be able to tell you how badly the town council is run and who is responsible for that. However, any attempt to limit what councillors can say by introducing this sort of policy exceeds the council's powers. Again, I'm just going to ignore the whole thing. It looks as if it's just a silly attempt to keep me quiet, and there's no need for me to comment on it in the council meeting. I'll just carry on posting whatever I think the people of this town should be told.